good. The time is 9:02. It's Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It finally feels like spring, thank heavens. It's the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. I'm going to call it to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Erickson Dahl. Here. Joliet. Here. Gershenson is absent with notice. Lubes.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Hoffman.
Here.
Benson.
Here.
Jim Forum.
Awesome. Aaron, you just keep doing you. Okay. That's amazing. Would everyone kindly join Commissioner Taylor? Could I ask you to lead us today in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated February 25th, 2025, moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Dahl. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Our minutes have been approved. Thanks a bunch. I would now entertain a motion to approve today's agenda, moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Loops. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Our agenda's been approved. Moving on then, just an FYI, I bumped the public comment to just the back end because that's all we are mandated to do. So if you were wondering, that's where it is. So we've got our lovely friend Jim up here. If you want to pop a squat at the head of the table and give us an update on what's going on or what isn't going on in Lansing and in DC if you really, really want to, but you don't have to do that. Hi.
Hi. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members. It's nice to be first up. I gotta go back to Lansing now, so. Just a little brief overview. This time of year, obviously, the governor recently gave her State of the State address and her budget proposal. Few things. The budget is really sucking up all the oxygen in town. And obviously, with a $60 billion budget, it takes a lot of work. And we're used to dealing with about 80 billion a year during COVID times, and that money is all dried up. So we're back to what the state budget used to be like. So there are a number of members of the legislature who have never been around for tough budgets, and this one's gonna be a tough one because there isn't a lot of extra federal funding. But the one 800-pound elephant in the room is the road funding plan. The governor is keen on getting something done with that and has found an found a partner in the newly elected speaker who also is interested in a road funding plan as well. And the two have been making a lot of progress in negotiations. I believe the Senate is coming along a little bit more slowly than the House and the administration are. But because they're talking about so much money, until they nail down the specifics of the plan, that affects all the other budgets, whether it's DHS or corrections or whatever, because it's such a large number. Part of the budget proposal is in the House. They have what they tried to pass last year. It got overwhelming support, bipartisan support in the House for a revenue sharing trust fund to protect the revenue sharing and for counties. And it received close to 100 votes in the House, and the Senate never got to it during lame duck. So there's another effort underway to get that done in this budget as well. There's also an interesting federal program that deals with jails, inmates in jails, where if you're booked into county jail, you lose your health care and the county has to pay for it. The federal government is trying to put together a plan in which they can take over those costs. So if that, that could represent a very large number depending on the health of our guests in the jail. So those few things, the budget itself, will take place. Obviously, we have to, by the Constitution, have a budget passed and signed into law by October 1. Typically, we get the bulk of the budget done by the 1st of July, and then they go on summer recess. the speaker has noted that he doesn't think they're gonna be able to get it done and they're gonna work all summer long. That kind of freaked out the town because they're not used to having to work in the summertime. So it'll be an interesting couple months. Again, there are other bills, there are policy bills that are being introduced and heard in committee. But by and large, the vast majority of time right now is being taken up by the Appropriations Committee and the House Senate Administration negotiation on the budget. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of an update. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Commissioner Erickson Gall.
Thank you, Chair. That's interesting about the medical care for jailers. Would that be a Medicaid program?
It's just a federal waiver. I'm not sure what fund it's gonna come out of, whether it be Medicaid or somewhere else, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I haven't heard any specifics on where the money comes from.
Just wondering.
either.
No, they don't.
Just wondering, given the current climate with Medicaid, so.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nelson.
Just kind of want to piggyback off of what Commissioner Gold had asked. I know that last year, actually this body, we did a non-binding resolution for the Medicaid Exclusion Act. So I would like to get some clarification if in fact the inmate federal program that you're referencing, I would love to know if that is in part the Medicaid Exclusion Act policy that was discussed for the past year.
It may be. I don't know if that's what they're calling it, but I can find out.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you. Road funding. I read somewhere that somebody has come up with a proposal not to raise taxes to do this. I forgot where they were taking the money out of 2 or 3 different places. Do you know anything about what their plan is?
There are claims that various versions are revenue neutral. We're talking about an adjustment in the corporate income tax. There's a lot of moving factors in this, a lot of different triggers, none of which has been put forth as, here's the agreement. There are so many different sources or resources that they're gonna draw from and take away from, and it's just a shell game of how they're gonna move it all around. I think, Pam, you told me that someone might be interested in marijuana tax. Yeah, the governor proposed a 25% increase in the marijuana tax. I'd be very surprised if any tax increase is gonna get through a Republican House. If it does, it'd have to be a pretty interesting negotiation to have that happen. They'd have to get something in return that's substantial, and I just don't see, now that the Republicans have taken the House, the first year in their first budget, they're gonna pass a tax increase. My gut tells me that's not a go, but I don't know for sure.
Commissioner Juliet.
Thank you.
Speaking of road funding, I have to ask, like I do every time, any conversation about restarting the SAD deferral program for local roads?
It's part of the conversation. It seems like the locals get, short end of the stick every time we do it.
Well, the state had it back in they've had it all along, and then they discontinued it back in 2020. So that's just saying, we'll pay your SAD, and when your house sells, it's a lien and we get it back. We were supposed to restart it, I was told, and have the bar to qualify lowered a little bit in terms of income to qualify. If you haven't heard of anything, is there any way to get traction on this?
It may be part of the conversation, I just haven't heard it, but I'll dig into it and see if somebody's got that as part of their ask.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Taylor.
Just can you update us, or do you have any information on House or Senate bills that's relevant to Oakland County, things that we need to keep our eyes on at the state level that could impact us here at the county?
I can, and right now, as I said, policy is very thin right now going through committees. You might be interested in the guardianship package, parts of it were passed last year that's relative to the counties. I can get you that information, but as I said, 90% of the work of the legislature right now is on the budget.
And are they talking about or adding anything like for the tip wages, minimum wage, sick leave, how it's impacting entrepreneurs,
I think
small
it's too soon,
businesses?
I think it's too soon to tell.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but there is going to be an impact on ESTA and the minimum wage tip credit stuff, yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, that was it, thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Well, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
it very much, yeah. Good luck and drive safely.
Can't wait to get there, it's so fun.
Such a fun time. All right, well, hey, we're ahead of the schedule, but our first interviewee is here. So if y'all don't mind, do you mind beginning the interviews? Everyone got their coffee? Ready? All right, Christopher Smith is first. Resumes and applications are all in the item, as are some suggested questions.
All set?
Yeah, hi.
You just take a seat at the end of the table.
Oh, you're at the table, okay. All right, welcome. You are our first one and you're a little bit early, so you might get 9 whole minutes instead of 7 minutes. No, we try to keep it a pretty tight ship here. If you'll just start with your name, your elevator pitch, and then we'll do some Q&A with you.
Sure.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, and I just want to briefly say that if anything comes from this process, I've enjoyed reading your biographies and learning more about all of you and what the Board of Commissioners does, and I'm very know how important OCHN is to many of you, from ABA therapy to work with Easter Seals to legal services and so forth. I'm just proud to have all of you part of this and looking out for OCHN and our constituents, which I think is our major goal for all of us here. I moved to Michigan in 2008. Prior to that, I was a litigator in Indiana. I moved here when my wife took a job with the Kresge Foundation in Troy, where she still is working. Prior to that, I was a finance major in undergrad at the University of Virginia. My first job was in finance at Procter & Gamble. I ran a $1 billion budget there in their hair care division. So if you use Pantene and Head & Shoulders, herbal essences, that was my first job out of school. But my father was an attorney, and so the draw of being an attorney drew me to law school. Also, I have a sister with Down syndrome. She does not live in Oakland County. She lives in Indiana. And my dad did a lot of representation of families with kids with disabilities in his legal career. So when we moved to Michigan, I decided to make a career switch within the legal field to serving families with children with disabilities or mental illness. And that's been the majority of my career since 2008. I've done some elder law work, and estate planning, of course, is a core piece of my practice. But since about 2018, the vast majority of my work is serving individuals with disabilities, mental illness, and their families in various capacities. I think, like probably a lot of you, I came to the realization that this is not normal times. It wasn't normal times before. I know the community mental health budget crisis throughout the state that was happening in 2024 and before. The law school settlement with the state of Michigan as far as paying direct service providers, all of that obviously is a concern to me. And then, you add the threat of a $880 billion cut to Medicaid and Medicare. It's not normal times. And, I'm 47 years old. I feel like I'm at a point where it's time, where I could do something. I am generally a glass half full guy. So with these challenges, I get excited about it. I would like to see, how we can address them head on. And do what Oakland County does and be creative and be as the best that we can be with the budgets we're given, because so much of this is out of our control as far as the top line of the budget, but we still can do what we can below that. And so I saw Executive Coulter's Facebook on this position, and I put my application in, and I'm just honored to be here today. It was one of the 6 that you've chosen to interview.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Taylor, we'll come back to you.
Yes, hi, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Very impressive resume, you're very well qualified.
Oh, thank you.
But in your own words, could you just tell us what do you find that's unique about OCHN and what your unique experience
Sure.
or your history would bring to that to highlight what you feel is the most important things for OCHN?
Sure. So I hope my resume speaks for itself, that I'm a consumer driven, that's where my passion is, serving individuals and families. My guess is all the people you are interviewing check that box in some capacity, and I would think a general public seat that you guys are looking for would want to check that box. What I think I bring to this, and I think is important at this time, is first of all, I'm a public policy junkie in this area. I know you guys are because you're serving on this committee. I'm flying to Washington DC tomorrow. I'm meeting with Senators Peters and Slotkin's offices on Thursday, along with my representative Stevens. On Thursday, we're talking about Medicaid. A key passion to me is a project I've been working on for years, which is probably going to get overshadowed, but is ending the requirement that you have SSI before the child disability benefit to get the Medicaid disregard for Medicaid qualification, which is a huge impact on budgets like OCHN's budgets as far as those individuals, because you're leaving these consumers for no fault of their own who are stuck with the spend down. And the only way we can make that change is federally. So that will be one of the things I will be advocating on Thursday, and I'll be hopefully pushing, which is a difficult environment to get pushed, but we'll do our best. And then on Friday, I'm moderating a panel with a representative from the Center for Medicare Advocacy, also a representative from the Legislative Policy Director for Justice and Aging. I'll be moderating a panel for them at a conference I'm attending on these changes that we're seeing in Medicare and Medicaid. So, Commissioner Taylor, I think one of the unique things I do is bring national and also state perspective. I didn't get into work I've done statewide. I'm on the Attorney General's task force and so forth there as far as guardianship reform and other activities. But I think I bring an understanding of being able to read this complexity of all these regulations that go in, and I don't want to fool you. It's tough. I mean, you're talking about thousands of pages of a different language and understanding this. But I think having the ability to, when we need to be able to try to understand that, I think I could do that. And I think that's what a board member needs to do. I mean, you hire good people to do the really deep diving and understanding of it, but I think I hopefully can bring that perspective from a board, that larger perspective, and be the liaison between you and the rest of Oakland County.
Thank you.
Sure, got my question.
Oh, right.
Good morning. You seem very well versed on the topic and very well educated on it. You also seem like a very busy man. So
Yeah.
with that being said, the meetings for OCHN are on the third Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock. Would your schedule be able to do that?
It's funny you say that, because I do have a 6-year-old son, and Tuesday night we have a standing babysitter that we have. So it just happens to be the one night a week that I'm always available. And I mean, that's just coincidence, but yes, I do have support to be able to attend.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I appreciated learning more about your experiences. I think it's so important with your experiences and knowledge with Medicaid and Medicare. I know that that's always been a very difficult issue, especially when it takes a look at the funding aspect of it. So I think present times, it's really important, especially as we embark on a lot of unknowns with Medicaid and Medicare, that you have some really great extensive experience. With that being said, what do you like to do for fun?
So I do have a 6-year-old son, and so that's really my free time is hanging out with him. He's a hockey player with Royal Oak right now, and enjoy that and enjoy spending as much time with him as possible. But Commissioner Nelson, I probably could use a little bit more hobbies, but I actually do.
I get it.
Do like this topic area.
I get it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Do you have any other questions for us?
This is probably would involve an hour-long conversation, but I would hope that if this isn't the correct environment, I would like to hear your perspectives on this, because I understand you know, there was huge turnover in OHDHN last year. I mean, I'm coming into this, I'm gonna use the word delightfully ignorant of some things that I think are problems, and I'm purposely coming into that with an excitement of being able that I think taking my experience and my open eyes, understanding what the problems and the concerns are, which I'm sure you guys know and you have. You know, Commissioner Lubes, our supports coordinator crisis is a huge issue right now. I mean, the turnover and the load that they are carrying is just sad. And when I look at it from my other side, like what, you know, Oakland County, you guys know very well that there's a lot of just talk about guardianship reform. What is the biggest issue as far as guardianship reform, as far as why there are guardianship? It's because people don't have the right supports in place. Well, what's the key piece to get the right supports in place? It's getting them to a supports coordinator that can coordinate all of that. So I'm not doing my job, which is asking you a question, but I want to hear from you and from all of this, from the inside, so I can take your concerns, your knowledge, because I really do want, you're the one that's picking this pick. I really do want to hear from you. I do want you all to have my cell phone so we can talk through some of these issues that you both see as commissioners and in your day jobs.
Our next person isn't here, and the one after that is running late. So Commissioner Lubes, if you'd like to go ahead.
Well, thank you for coming. I do admire your expertise. And what I look for on the board is what gap or niche can we fill that's not already there? And you certainly satisfy that piece of it. Regarding systems, support coordinators, my belief is our direct care workers, we don't pay enough. And so there's a huge turnover in that group of people because they're the group of people living below our poverty income with lack of reliable transportation and supports to do their job. So I think that's one small area, but it's like a domino effect. One thing affects everything else.
I absolutely agree. And if you look at the demographics, it's not getting better with the boomer turnover.
Right.
But I don't want to be the negative person in the room. I'm looking at this with optimism and like, if any county can figure it out, I do believe this county can.
And we tried with the idea a few years ago of our health department licensing direct care workers with a certification that may bump up their wages, but again, it's complicated and we don't have the resources in place to do that as yet. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. For typing. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Well, how are you?
Fantastic. So we've got about 7 to 10 minutes here. If you just start with your name, your elevator pitch, then we'll start with some casual questions and answers. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, good morning. My name is Keisha Watkins Dookie. I've lived in Oakland County almost 20 years. I wear many hats as a mom, a BB, or AKA grandma, aunt, sister, and in all my capacities from my personal life to my professional life, I have been an advocate for families from birth to seniors in making sure that they were empowered and had access to services. I know in my application I use general statements, but I actually have been affected by mental health, like I said, in every realm of my life. Do a lot of advocating for my niece, who was diagnosed at 13, I've seen when services have worked and when there's been a fight for services for her. I've seen it as working for an organization that supported elders not having access, and then what having access looks like. I work professionally as a full spectrum doula, so I support folks who are pregnant, who may have had loss. And I am a doula for moms who are incarcerated. So I definitely see the span of what it looks like to have services and to not have services. So it's something I'm definitely passionate about. Your mission speaks volumes to, like, as far as empowering all of our community members, making sure they're inspired. Because I see the difference from a person who has the tools that they need to be able to successfully support all aspects of their life versus members who are just like in this overwhelm, be it that person or their family members, because everyone is affected. So basically, I just am very interested in wanting to be a part of a community who is going to be advocating to make sure that everybody has what they need.
Appreciate that, thank you. Okay, questions, folks? Commissioner Loops.
I think the position of doula is so interesting. I had not heard of that until my neighbor became a doula. But it's fascinating, and it does provide a service for people who are starting out their life. My stance is that if we put supports in place for the infants and preschoolers and parents, everybody has a better shot at being a responsible citizen in our society.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, I do. I feel like if you have this, if the foundation has the support, then they can show up fully in all the other parts for everybody else and pass that on to their children, and they have that instilled in them.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner.
Good morning. How familiar are you with the Oakland County Health Network?
So I get your guys' updates, but I'm familiar with the services that they provide as far as connecting folks in the community to the things that they need. So I would say probably about a year. I probably wasn't aware of it before about a year ago. They had some couple of community events that I wanted to be a part of that I wasn't able to, but when I saw, like, oh my goodness, they're looking to connect people about mental health, like, wow, because that's a space that's often just missed, like the mental health piece. And so that's how I became familiar with it.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Impressive resume, and good morning. What do you like to do for fun?
So many things. Anything by the water, writing, reading, nature. I used to didn't like nature because I used to have a horrible thing with mosquito bites, but outside is my space. I'm a BB, so grandparenthood is the best hood to me. So spending time with my grandkids. So 3 live here, 1 lives in California. So I like to go once a year to try to see him. But 2, I'm very much involved in their life on the I see them probably 5 days a week. And the youngest of that lot is he just turned 9 months.
Very nice, thank you.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes, thank you. Your resume is very impressive. And my friend is a doula, so thank you for what you do. Question though, what unique qualities do you have that you could bring to the board, the OCHN board, that's different from every other applicant? Why should we stop and say, let's choose Keisha?
Because not just, like I said, I think lived experience, like the skills as well as that lived experience, and also understanding how a board works, like knowing that we move as a body, not as like a single person. So just that, I think that it's like where to put it, just this space that I just hold that allows me to be compassionate and empathetic, but also see the worldview, of how this affects everybody, or how we could better serve each individual person. I mean, I know that there's generally, this is the way it's done, but also this capacity. So seeing it from having this different lens is like a superpower, I feel like. And I always say that, seeing that is also kind of like a superpower that, ADHD gives me.
Thank you.
I have one logistical question for you. The board meets on the third Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock in the evening. Is it all right with you and your schedule?
Yes, right now it's really good. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my most flexible days. I will say that like if a birth happens, it looks different, but I also work with a partner or a backup for birth if that was to be a scenario, like if I were to be at a meeting, I get a call, like, so yes.
Awesome. Anything else? Any quick questions for us or?
What would you say, I guess anybody can answer, like what are some challenges that you face with being a member of the board?
Oh, well, none of us are on that board.
Okay.
We're the
Board of
Oakland County Board,
Commissioners.
but yes, so.
I would say initially, there's training, there are workshops to attend, and it's time consuming initially in the beginning.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll be making a decision today, so you'll hear it soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Right, sorry, yes, I did misspeak, yes. Thank you for that. Oh, all right, cool, let's just say that then. Thanks, Bella, for bringing so early. So, folks, I don't know, am I the only one that has these scheduled? We're gonna skip Adam Duberstein for now and go to Amy Page, is that all right? Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you just kindly sit down right there, start with your name, your brief elevator pitch, then we'll do some Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes here.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioner Looms. My name is Amy Page. I live in Oakland County, the village of Beverly Hills. When I saw this opportunity here, I had to jump at it. A lot of my experience is in executive leadership for nonprofit healthcare organizations, mostly in the health and human service arena. My current position is a Chief Clinical and Healthcare Strategy Officer at Ageways Nonprofit Senior Services. So a lot of what I do is in clinical operations, care management, utilization management, patient care and service delivery, and quality assurance. Similar to OCHN, we do direct services in-house, but we also have a host of community-based organizations that build our community network. And we serve the aging population, whereas OCHN serves more of the IDD, mental health, and substance recovery area. But the organizations do cross over a lot of parallels. So that's a little bit about me professionally. In my experience, I have 7 years of executive level management. I have 12 years of leadership experience and then 15 years in the LTSS and managed care, integrated care space. My actual degree and background is in nursing, so I'm a registered nurse. I've just worked my way up through executive level management. Me personally, I have 2 daughters. One is my 11-year-old. She does have a diagnosis of autism. So I am a little bit already in the IDD space from a personal side. And then I have family members that touch the mental health and substance recovery area as well. So I'm very passionate about OCHN and what the organization does for our community and those with IDD, mental health and substance recovery services. It touches very close to home. I do everything I can to provide and make sure my daughter, both daughters, but my daughter especially with autism, is able to live that quality of life that she can as independently as she can with the resources that you guys provide in the community. One more thing in my elevator pitch, and then I'll take a pause, is I'm also very active in the community outside of, hopefully serving on the board here. In the class of 2020, I was an Oakland County Elite Executive 40 under 40. So I was very honored to be able to give in that recognition in 2020. I serve on the Parent Advisory Council at my kid's school district, in Walled Lake School District. I'm an executive committee member within the school. I'm also the Walled Lake School District parent representative for Oakland County. And I'm also what's called a surrogate parent volunteer for Oakland County for children in the school district that doesn't have a guardian and needs a court-appointed representative to represent them in their IEPs. So that's a little bit what I do outside of work and so happy to take any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Loops?
OCHN has services for pregnant moms, early intervention, our school-age population, our young adults, middle age, but they do acknowledge that for the senior area, they're lacking, and that's something they'd like to explore more. So having someone experienced in senior services would certainly be an addition to their board.
Yeah, I feel like I can serve well in that space, having 15 years in the aging sector paired with my young 11-year-old. But yeah, I think I could add some value to the board in that space, both from the clinical operation perspective to patient care and delivery and some of the barriers and challenges that might be faced with serving a senior population as some of the younger population. So I would love to hopefully add that value to the board if I were to be chosen.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning. Does your organization have any contracts with OCHN? Do you know? Are you aware of?
No,
Okay.
no. I looked into that because I want to make sure there wasn't potential conflict of interest there. And no, I think we're clear we don't have any current contracts with OCHN.
And then just last question, the board meets the third Tuesday of every month in the evening. Does your schedule allow for that?
Yeah, I have, parents and aunts and then babysitters that I plan to line up so I can make sure I would be in attendance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here with us, Amy. Got great resume. What do you like to do for fun?
For
Busy
fun.
woman.
Let's see. Outside of being mom in that busy life, I like to go hiking, kayaking, anything outdoor related, beach, adventure, travel, rock hounding if anyone likes.
I love it.
Rock
Oh, on the
hounding.
bridge right now.
Rock hounding.
Another rock hounder.
I'm an aurora chaser, so on Northern Lights, yeah, a little bit of my
We could hang out,
a little
Amy.
bit of my geeky side. Yes, just bought a rock tumbler, yeah, I'll stop there, but yes, anything outdoorsy, active, biking, kind of getting out there and exploring.
Very cool. Thank you.
Commissioner Nelson, you can give her your number afterward.
I'm sorry?
You can give her your number.
I know, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
check, a rock hounder,
No,
check.
we're probably in the same Facebook groups.
Probably,
I'll find you,
probably.
yeah.
I just have a quick question. On your resume, it looks like you plan to start an MBA program in 2024, which was last year, so update on that.
Yeah, still working towards enrolling. Yeah, life can everyone's life is busy, right?
100%.
But yeah, just haven't taken that step forward, but hopefully my goal is fall. Let's get through summer and I just moved too, so get my feet on the ground and then jump back into obtaining that MBA.
Sounds good. Godspeed. Anything else? Do you have any quick questions for us real quick?
I do not, no.
All right. We'll be making a suggestion today, and then the nomination will be complete and final at our board meeting on Tuesday, March 18th, just an FYI. So yeah, thanks for coming in.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
So what is hounding? Is that like?
Looking for rocks.
Oh, rock hounding? Yeah. So essentially, it's hunting rocks, fossils.
Oh, it literally is looking for rocks.
It literally is. Crystals, rocks, minerals. It's actually quite fun.
All right.
Because you never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah, well, rocks, I hope, but.
beyond just what they look like on the surface.
Do you have like a polisher? Do you crack them home for like
So
geos
I
and
do,
stuff?
yeah, no, I literally, it's funny because, fun fact, in Michigan, you can take 25 pounds of rocks as long as it's not from like a national shoreline.
Mm.
So like when, you know, classic going up north, people always say, oh, like the Petoskey stones and things like that, but literally you can take up to 25 pounds, but I always say, you know, not sure when they know it, this is my first time of the year. So my backyard is landscaped literally with rocks all over the country, because I'll send them home too.
I think I'd rather wine taste.
Yes.
You like trash, I like rocks, Bob.
Awesome.
Oh,
Hello, April.
hi.
All right, everyone, this is April
Thank
Brandon. April, if you would just
It's on
start
us.
with a brief elevator pitch about yourself, and then we'll do some Q&A for about 10 minutes.
Sure. My name is April Brandon. I am a public servant. I currently serve as the Holly Village President and the Holly Township Library Board President. I am a mental health counselor. I received my master's at OU. My main focuses are anxiety, LGBTQ+ issues, veterans issues, homelessness, and sex worker issues. I also work with Tunnels to Towers as a therapist to serve some of their veterans and their Gold Star families like myself, which means families of our fallen. Those families having access to mental health services is paramount, and they're also grateful that they're being served. I also have my own private practice, Gold Star Counseling, and I am a member of the American Legion. So that's just a little about me. Are there any questions? Hi, Bob.
Questions, folks? Commissioner Lubes, thanks, sir.
I'm a member of the American Legion. So what we're having at the Troy Legion is meditation for our veterans. So I guess what I'm asking is, would you be open, or do you provide different groups or therapies for veterans?
I have a lot of veterans as clients and some first responders too. Our American Legion has a program where they collect clothes for the homeless and for veterans. And they're part of the Be the One program, helping prevent veteran suicide. And they also have a lot of community groups to keep everyone active and together and just give them a place to be a part of something, you know, because after service, a lot of these guys kind of don't know what to do. So we're there for them with doors open. And they're currently working on obtaining a grant because we were recently taken down by a tornado that hit pretty much just the Legion in Holly and then left town. So it doesn't look destroyed, but because of the foundation being cracked, it is. So they're working on obtaining some grants, and they asked for a letter of recommendation last night. So I do like to be a big part, as much as I can, to help out these groups that help so many of our vulnerable communities.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Joanna.
Good morning. How familiar are you with the Oakland County Health Network?
Well, I looked at the mission statement, and I feel like it's right in line with what I'm looking for. It seems like it's a nice resource distribution board, if I'm understanding correctly. And I think, if I'm correct, that they oversee the groups such as MORC, the Easter Seals.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. Good morning, April. Thank you for being here with us this morning. So I see that you took up boxing in 2022. Is that still an extracurricular activity, and what else do you like to do?
Yes, and my son Michael is taking boxing from the same instructor that I had, which is Ken Blackburn from a martial arts place in Holly. And so yeah, we actually have a kickboxing weight thing right in my sitting room in my house because there's no rules. I'm the adult, I make the rules in my home. We have so we box in my sitting room. And I'm also a Trekkie and a gardener.
Very nice. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Questions? Quick. Commissioner Joanna, I forgot, did you ask about the schedule?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, sure.
OCHN meets on the third Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock. Is your schedule would you have availability in your schedule to do that?
Yes, yes I do. Thank you.
All right. I don't have a question. I just want to say I'm the only queer member of the board, and I can't thank you enough for taking in homeless queer folks. It's a really big problem. So thank you.
Thank you.
And anything else? Do you have any questions for us, real quick?
I don't. My oldest is a trans man, and my youngest is a questioning, non-binary. Maybe I'm a lesbian. Wait, maybe I'm cis. No, wait, maybe I'm trans. Maybe I'm a boy now.
I've got
Going
one
through
of
that
those.
phase. So, no, I don't have any questions, but thank you all so much for your time and for taking on 7 interviews instead of 5, and thank you, Bob, for selecting my name.
Yeah, we're going to make our recommendation to the board today, and then the board will actually do the appointing on Tuesday, March 18th. So we'll know more soon.
Wow, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
See you.
We're ready for you. Just take a seat in front of the table, please.
Okay, thank you.
That's why her involvement in the
Awesome.
services.
Hello, Adam. All right, folks, this is Adam Duberstein. If you'd kindly start with your name, a brief elevator pitch, then we'll do about 7 to 10 minutes of Q&A.
Good morning, my name is Adam Duberstein and I am a clinical psychologist. I am really delighted to be here this morning. I work with a lot of different mental health, folks with a lot of different mental health conditions, and it's such a rewarding job. And I was very curious to learn more about this position, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. I also teach, in addition to working as a clinical psychologist, I teach the Michigan School of Psychology over in Farmington Hills, where I teach ethics and clinical skills to graduate students. That's my story in a nutshell.
All right, questions? All right, Commissioner Maria.
Good morning.
Morning,
How
Commissioner.
familiar are you with the Oakland County Health Network?
Fairly familiar, yes.
Have you had interaction with them at all, or?
I have. So for all too brief a time, I worked for the Neighborhood Service Organization, and I don't work there now, but I filled out a lot of forms through the Oakland Community Health Network website.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Adam. Thank
Good morning,
you for being
Commissioner
here
Nelson.
with us.
Thank you for having me.
Great resume, great
Thank you.
experiences.
Thank you so much.
What do you like to do for fun?
That's a great question. So I really enjoy spending time with my 3 large rescue dogs and doing things with them, walking and trying to train them. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure.
I really enjoy board games and reading. I also like to travel and watch movies when I can.
Very
So those types of things.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course. Commissioner Loops.
Well, thank you for coming. You live in Clawson, I live in
Yes.
Clawson. It's a close-knit community.
It is.
So generally, everybody knows what everybody else is doing in the same.
It's not a good thing.
The same people volunteer for the various community and civic groups. So, and are you still with the Hazel Park Library Board?
No, so Hazel Park Library Board is an elected position, and then I found my dream home in Clawson.
Oh.
And I couldn't say no to the house. One of the things that Commissioner Nelson's question about what I like to do for fun, I'm restoring a house to what it was in the 1950s, as much as I can. With modern conveniences, of course. I don't know if that's fun, but it's what I've been doing. Clawson has been wonderful. I'm looking forward to getting involved there. I just moved there at the very tail end of December. So my hope is to go to some events that the Lions have put on, and I'm hoping to attend some of the city council meetings. There's some really important issues like the apartments coming up that I want to hear about. So.
Oh my gosh, you and I could go together about that. It's a 15-unit apartment
Over in
that the
Renshaw.
city owns.
Yes.
And they would now like to sell it. My stance is, we have a moral and ethical obligation to take care of our seniors. They took care of us in earlier days. So yes, we'll talk afterwards.
Thank you. I love to. I love to meet you. I'm with
We're
you.
making new best friends. I love this. Commissioner Lubes is someone to know. I call her the Queen of Clausen. I call her on everything Clausen related. Yeah. Any other questions, folks? Commissioner Juliet, I always forget if you asked.
I
it or
did
if you
not
didn't.
ask.
Oh,
So the board meets on the third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. Would your schedule allow for that?
Yes, it would.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
do you have any questions for us real quick?
Yes, if you could design your ideal board member, what qualities would they possess? How would you want, what would you want them to be able to do, and what would you want them to know?
Love this.
Thank you. Commissioner Nelson,
Great.
do you want to expand?
I think having an open mind is a big one. Everybody's coming with their own passions, and then you have that collective passion. And goodness only knows when you get a group of passionate people together sitting around a table, it can get very interesting. But at the end of the day, it's just having that flexibility of listening where everyone's coming from, and really taking a look at, pulling everybody's energy together to make it happen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Commissioner Erickson Cole.
Thank you, Chair. One of the things about this position is it is a general public opening, and I know you have professional connections to OCHN. And so I think the intent of this position is somebody who can bring more of a generalized experience to the board. And if you want to tell us what that might be in your background that would add to that?
Absolutely, thank you, Commissioner. So couple things. I do have people in my family who have mental health concerns. I am a psychologist, yes, and as far as I know, my license is still in good standing. They haven't voted me off the island yet. But the way I see the cases that I work with, the clients that I work with, versus how I am as a family member, totally different set of eyes. I would bring with me the concern of a family member, which is totally different than the concern of a psychologist, although I'm not saying that they're either one is better or worse, they're just different. And I think I would bring that to the board. I also, because of my professional experience, am able to see issues, I think, through the eyes of the consumer or the client in many ways. I hear a lot from, I sit with clients for hours a day professionally, so I'm able to take and translate the concerns of those folks and bring them into the policy world. But I think even more so than my professional experience, being a family member of some folks who have had serious and persistent mental health concerns. My grandmother, my late grandmother, had some pretty serious mental health issues, and I remember dealing with those a little bit as a younger adult. And I have walked in those shoes, and I think I could bring that compassion and also that understanding of what it is to be a consumer in that way.
All right. Our committee will be making a recommendation today, and then the board will be making their final appointment on Tuesday, March 18th. So you'll hear soon.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time this morning.
All right. No, we're a whole minute. Thank you. Proud of us.
Are we all set?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You take a seat at the end of the table, please.
Hello. If you'd kindly start with your name, a brief elevator pitch, and then we'll do some Q&A for about 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
My name's Deirdre Mercer, and I'm an Oakland County citizen. I've got about 30 years experience, I hate to say, but I'm proud to say, supporting folks who experience intellectual and developmental disabilities, folks who have experienced homelessness, folks with mental health concerns as well. I consider myself a passionate advocate for local government and for mental health supports and services, and so that's why I'm here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Questions to start us off? Commissioner Diana?
Hi. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How familiar are you with the Oakland County Health Network?
Yeah, I am quite familiar. So the majority of the roles that I've served over the 30 years, 22 of them I worked at MORC. I left in 2018, I believe. I've also had a position at Community Housing Network and Community Living Services. So I've worked, and Progressive Lifestyles, who is a provider of residential services in Oakland County too. So really, my entire career has been working alongside OCHN in one framework or another.
All right, thank you.
Relatedly, what do you perceive to be their biggest needs right now, and how can you best help address them?
Yeah, like focus and advocacy on the folks that we support. Like I am like such a fan of the individuals we serve, and I just want a voice to be present. Not that there aren't voices. I know there are voices. I was on the COW last night. I was on their board meeting. I've always been an active member. Perhaps a question someone might ask is my relevance to my personal life as well, because this is a public position, and my daughter receives mental health services as well. She has a number of invisible disabilities, so she experienced having an IEP all through high school. She experiences anxiety disorder, right? I always speak with her permission, by the way, so I'm not calling her out at all. Some depression, she has epilepsy, so she has a developmental disability as well. And I've seen what really good support looks like. She is in her 5th year of university and 1 year away from getting a bachelor's degree in social work at Oakland University. So like with good advocacy, with good support, like I always say from womb to tomb, that's what we can look like. And so I just want that voice. I just want someone to always bring back, there's concerns about budgets, there's concerns about deficits, there's concerns about money, but I always wanted to go back to like, okay, how does this affect the individual we're supporting, right? Like I just want that focus to be there. And that's where my focus would be.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here this morning.
You're welcome.
Great resume, great experiences.
Thanks so much.
Outside of that, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, I am an avid outdoors person. So my husband and I have decided to get healthy in our later years. You know, once we've raised those kiddos, I took care of my mom and dad at home for several years as well, and they've since passed. And so that's kind of why I'm here today too. I find myself with a little bit of time, right, to give back to our community. And so something that I love very much, we kayak, we go up north, we bike ride, we love a good fire, all of those good things.
Thank you for sharing.
Anything that has to do with chatting and hanging out with peeps.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Loops?
I feel like I already know you because of your work at MORC, and everyone I've met who worked for MORC has such an aura or pleasant personality to take care of other people with a passion. So it's genuine and sincere, and you certainly show that to us at your interview today, so
Well,
thank
gosh,
you.
that's so kind. Thank you.
Just a quick point of clarification, you do still work at Community Living Services, correct?
That's true. So we have contracts in 6 different counties. I work under our Wayne County contract, just for clarification. I appreciate the fact that that could still be considered, you know, some kind of glitch, or I didn't want to let that stand in my way.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I'm the director of training, so we're responsible, that's also like that passion, right? We're responsible for the services that we provide introductory training to all of the caregivers who are required to take any specialized residential training throughout Wayne County. So that's what my team in Wayne does.
Awesome. Any other questions, folks? You said you had a little bit of time on your hands. The board meets on the 3rd Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock at night. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's all good. And I
Okay.
live pretty close too, so I'm a Rochester Hills resident, so.
We love that.
If we have time, there's just one quick thing I do want to
Please.
share.
I want you guys, I'm probably gonna get teary-eyed only because I'm a passionate person and my favorite mentor told me like, never apologize for your tears, it's passion and strength. So if I get teary-eyed, just know I'm a little bit Irish and I always have my emotions pretty close to my sleeve. But the impact that local government and that local folks can have on the folks that we serve is immeasurable. Today is unfortunately an anniversary for me, which 5 years ago when COVID kind of became evident in Michigan, I remember coming home from a St. Patrick's Day party we hosted for the 130 people we supported at Progressive Lifestyles. We all got together in the New Gateways gym, we had this great party, little did we know our Irish dancer / singer had traveled overseas and had COVID, and it was a super spreader. We were probably the first provider organization that had to put people in seclusion and kind of isolation, and we locked down 8 of our homes within 14 days of that big party. We eventually lost 8 people, but I will never forget Dr. Faust, who gave me his personal phone number. He was in contact with me almost every single day. I said, like, I don't know, do people just come in and just take everyone and fly them out of here? You know, what do we do? He's like, to be honest, Deirdre, I don't know what we do either, but we're gonna do this together. I'll never forget the nurses that came and I told them you are injecting hope in our arms today as they did a vaccine clinic like on January 5th of the year that the vaccines rolled out, like in late December, right? And I'll never forget the people at OCHN. They were under a transition leadership. Annette Downey had just left to take over. And I believe her name was Anya, was in charge at OCHN. She was not, she was an interim director, and her, Christine Burke, all of those folks, they disseminated and they went to every one of our group home doors. They dropped off hand sanitizer, they dropped off PPE. Here in Oakland County, we were swinging by weekly, picking up all of the equipment. And so I just want to thank you guys for your service and what you do for the folks. It's really why I want to be a part of this board, because I know that people get their territories and they get their dukes up and all of that. But for me, that was really evident of what we can do if we work collaboratively. So that's my last little thing to share with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been thinking about COVID a lot too. I got diagnosed the first time 5 years ago, and 2 days.
Yeah.
It was awful, right? Worst experience of my life. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that anniversary a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I appreciate that. Anything else, folks? We'll be making our recommendation today, and then the board will make their final appointment on Tuesday, March 18th. So you'll
Okay.
hear soon.
Beautiful, thanks so much. You guys take care.
Thank you.
All right, friends, did we want to deliberate and decide now or come back at the end of our agenda? Either way. I feel bad for everyone on the periphery of the room. Is my only thing. Commissioner Erickson.
Did we decide how we're going to vote on this, given our
We're gonna
change in
feel
rules?
it out.
Okay. 'Cause I would advocate for a ranked choice, because I'm having a really hard time narrowing it down to one person. I liked multiple people, and I would like to vote for more than one.
I also liked more than one person.
I agree, it's too bad we don't need 6 positions. I mean, these were a great group of applicants. Tough one.
Does it help in the discussion to, I know we had some great conversations during our last LIGO meeting about like the different categories. Specifically, general public, right? I know that there's always possibilities to wiggle room other things, but just based on that, does that help with narrowing down? Because I too agree, I think that we heard from literally every single candidate was great. I also loved the fact that every single candidate said that they enjoy nature throughout Oakland County.
They did.
And that's significant. I know we've spent a lot of time, especially over the past couple of years, with our Parks and Recreation Department, but it's proof in the pudding when we hear from individuals scattered all across Oakland County, and they have the same, enjoyment of being outside in nature. So I thought that was cool.
I mean, I would like to deliberate because it's in my head now, but yeah, out of courtesy of everybody else that's here, maybe we should go with the agenda.
Do you, could we do 2 rounds kind of a narrow it down kind of a thing, and then a face-off kind of a thing, instead of,
That's interesting.
yeah. Cause we've done that before, I don't know. Commissioner Nelson, you had comments?
So I'd like to bring forward, again, I wanna emphasize, all candidates were absolutely amazing this morning. I would like to bring forward Christopher Smith. I thought that his experiences, not only with individuals with various different intellectual disabilities and disabilities, I loved the aspect of the elder component. I know that there are other individuals who have some experience and similar experience, but I think the mixture of Christopher's experience was really impressive. And I think that especially in these days and times when there's a lot of uncertainty, I'm really, eager and hopeful that he could provide potentially some light as we maneuver through some things over the next few years, specifically with Medicaid and Medicare.
Commissioner Hoffman.
I agree with Commissioner Nelson, because, and the thing that hit me the most too was the elder care thing. And there's a lot of questions about guardianship and that type of thing. And I think the guy would be very well suited for that position.
Commissioner Lips.
I would certainly support that, and his passion just shines through. And he's young enough / old enough to be responsible and move forward and have the energy that this position requires.
Not to make it sound like a fait accompli though, because I liked him a lot. I also really liked Amy Page and Deirdre Mercer. I really liked her. Didn't dislike anyone, but those three really stood out for me.
Amy Page was good too. A lot of enthusiasm. I really liked her too. What was the other one you said?
Deirdre Mercer, the last person.
Oh, yeah, she's great too.
Yeah.
And that they had interaction with,
Lifelong interaction
Yes,
with
with-
those,
right,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Amy Page comes with both the elder and younger spectrum
Right.
of interacting with services.
Commissioner Taylor, no.
No, I just agree with everything. Every one of them
I know.
was great. I do kind of lean towards Christopher Smith as well,
Yeah,
but we can't go wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, good point.
And we just can't. It's just making that hard decision.
Sure.
I would support narrowing it down to those three candidates and moving forward with a vote on those.
That we can do. Can I just, all in favor of moving forward with those three candidates?
Who was the third one, Mr. Chair?
It was Christopher Smith, Amy Page, and Deirdre Mercer.
Deidre, gotcha, thank you.
Is that all right with everyone?
Yes.
All right, we're moving forward with just those three candidates then. How did you want to do that vote, Commissioner? Do you want a piece of paper? I'm fine with everyone gets a little piece of paper.
Do a ballot,
do it.
I mean,
I got some.
You did.
just happened
me
to,
to
We talked
count
about
Pam just
this.
happened to
Oh,
I mean, you can just, I mean.
We happened to prepare for this.
Just not gonna find a pen.
Just go vote. Vote for one of the three.
So we're voting for one of those three.
Right, and again, Smith, Page, and Mercer are the candidates.
And then how are we going to follow up with
Who wants?
Yes, we do have to have on the record is who's voting for who, right?
Do we? I don't know.
Is this like a straw poll, then we're gonna take a public vote?
My suggestion that
Commissioner.
We probably should.
Someone could make a motion.
Tracy
What I would suggest is when you see who got the most, that somebody make a motion and then you
Right.
vote.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
and then you can proceed how.
I'm sorry, I'm hopeful.
Suggestion from the audience.
Whichever, whoever had the most, make that motion.
Oh,
Them to be.
okay,
Yeah.
that's a, thank you for being here, Madam
My pleasure, anytime.
Clerk. Nice.
That's one point I left out.
All right, well, that's one vote for Page, one vote for Mercer, and 6 votes for Smith. So, would someone like to nominate
I'd
Commissioner
like
Nelson?
to make a motion to nominate Christopher Smith for the general public position on OCHM board.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready. Correct. I'm gonna call that efficient chaos. Thank you, everyone. It could have been a lot harder.
It's true.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You have 7 yeas?
Woodward, yes.
You have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you very much. We will be recommending Christopher Smith to be appointed at the full board. Thanks, everyone. All right. Moving on then. All right, to all of you on the periphery, thanks for your patience. Madam Clerk, we're gonna start with you. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item 8A, which is a grant acceptance, Michigan Electronic Recording Commission FY25 e-recording grant.
Support.
Commissioner Erickson Dahl and Commissioner Hoffman.
Good morning, thank you. So if you remember, I don't know, a little while ago, I came to you to apply for this grant to start another first of its kind program here in Oakland County. So in the Deeds area. So this is my second first of its kind in the country thing that I've done. I'm bringing a lot of innovation. We were just at a national conference for property records industry, and I got to share information about this with everybody there. And next week I'll be sharing it with my colleagues around the state at the Michigan Association of Register of Deeds conference. But I want to show you a video to explain really what it is we're doing. So can we roll the tape? Okay.
Hello, I'm Oakland County Clerk Register of Deeds Lisa Brown. I'm excited to share a new service my office has launched to make electronic recording of real estate documents more widely accessible. E-recording is more convenient than visiting the office in person, and I'm always looking for ways to make our services more accessible. I've been working on a solution for years, and now I'm happy to finally introduce MyPropDocs, a first-of-its-kind service that we pioneered right here in Oakland County. Here's what you need to know. MyPropDocs is just a click away at mypropdocs.com, which will take you to our website. There, you'll find helpful information about recording documents with the Register of Deeds and the e-recording portal. MyPropDocs allows for a variety of non-conveyance documents to be electronically submitted to our office in a few quick steps. The key word here is non-conveyance, meaning that deeds or other documents that transfer ownership for property are not eligible for submission through MyPropDocs. Also, consistent with current e-recording standards, UCC documents and documents related to mortgage foreclosure are not accepted through MyPropDocs. Document types that are acceptable for recording using MyPropDocs include affidavits, association liens, association discharges, claims of lien, certificates of trust, discharges, lis pendants, notices of commencement, releases, and satisfactions of mortgage. For less than the cost of overnight mail, you can now securely submit a document to our office electronically. Let me walk you through the process so you can see just how easy it is to use MyPropDocs. First, select Oakland County, Michigan as your jurisdiction.
And it's the only one on the list, so you don't have to.
Read the terms of service. To continue, click Accept. After clicking Next, you will receive a one-time passcode via text to your phone and a message to your email. Enter the codes to continue. Next, you'll take a photo of your ID and upload it. Then take a photo of your document or upload it from a saved file. If you have more than one page, you will be prompted to add each page individually. Once all the pages of your document have been uploaded, click Next. Review the recording and convenience fees, then click Next. Enter your payment information and then select the Submit button. Done. That's all there is to it. Generally, our office can have your e-file document reviewed and, if approved, recorded and returned to your email in 24 to 48 hours. If we can't accept your document, you'll receive an email explaining why it was rejected. You will only be charged when your document has been approved. For your convenience, MyPropDocs allows you to submit a document for recording anytime from anywhere. I hope you find this innovative service convenient and helpful. I'm proud to once again offer a first-in-the-nation service to the residents of Oakland County. It is a true honor to serve as our Oakland County Clerk Register of Deeds. Thank you.
It was a little choppy because it was on a thumb drive. It's much smoother out on the website and everything. So anyways, really proud. We've received successful submissions through this portal and again, making services more accessible for people, for our office. So happy to answer any questions if anybody has any, but I already spent the money, so.
I do.
Question.
How long is this grant good for? How many years is it just a 1 year?
Unfortunately, this pot of money, which was not all utilized from the state, ends this year. So they tried to extend, they tried to increase how much each county could apply for, but it has been in place for a number of years. But I didn't have an innovation in regards to electronic recording that I could have applied for. So then I had this, I was like, oh, now I can do it. So yeah, it's sunsetting September 30th, 2025.
Oh, okay.
So this is a one-time, we're just getting it this one time. But, I mean, I don't have to pay anything more for this at this time, right?
Correct.
Or until a new contract, maybe, yeah. Or we raise.
What are the fees a resident would pay to use this? Is it simply associated with the credit card fee or other fees?
No, so there's a $20 convenience fee, but that was the fee that I was referring to, that it costs more to overnight mail than, it costs more than $20 to do that. So, and then the statutory flat fee for recording is $30. So, but there are, I don't wanna name them, but there are websites out there that will do this for you. But we don't know what kind of screening they're doing or what kind of information. We don't know if they're checking IDs to make sure, you know, and doing the confirmation with the cell phone and the email. And they charge $60 for a fee. That doesn't count our $30 fee, so it's $90. And then they have an extra fee that, what was that, another $20 or something? You could go to the front of the line, which is a problem for Michigan law because we are a race state, meaning first in time, first in right. So whoever records first, that's the ruling document. So to pay to go to the front of the line doesn't really work. So anyway, problematic. So we rather people come directly through us and then instead of using these third parties and paying more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Juliet.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
If somebody comes and doesn't use this, is there a fee if they come to your office?
The $30 statutory fee for recording.
Okay.
But
That's it
yeah,
there, okay.
yeah.
So it's like a $20 fee to do this for the
Yes.
convenience, okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
and I can tell you, like, for example, one of the first successful submissions we got was from a builder out of state.
Okay, so he couldn't.
So, right, yeah, so.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's for HOAs who, you know, I mean, but.
Somebody's gotta, I get it.
Yeah,
Anything else?
and they can always pass that on, I mean, an HOA,
To defer,
you
I
didn't
get it.
pay your dues, they can pass that on when they pay their dues,
All right.
just saying.
Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
You have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
We'll move on to our HR section. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item 9A, which is to adopt an amendment to Merit Rule 20, Education Assistance. Moved by Commissioner Loops, seconded by Commissioner Taylor.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair. So yes, I'm back before you. I was here last fall. You so generously approved the education assistance for Merit Rule 20, and we were really excited to kick that off. However, in meeting with our fiscal services department, we identified a couple of different issues that may come about with section 20.4.2.2, which is the process for payment for the tuition advancement, in which it was initially written that we would pay the school directly. However, in meeting with our fiscal services, it was determined that all of our schools would have to become a registered supplier, and they would also have to bill the county under Oakland County's name and not the student's name. So if we had several students going to a particular school and they billed it to Oakland County, just having to go through the process of figuring out which student it applied to. So we have a tool in place with Workday that allows us to have a simpler process, which Cheryl Johnson from Fiscal is here to explain that process much better than I could. But when we look through our numbers, we have over the last 2 years paid or reimbursed students that attended 111 schools. So if we were to adopt the process of having the school register as suppliers, and we know this is going to grow as well, it would just become a more cumbersome process. So we want to have it changed in the Merit Rule to pay the student to pay the school using our expense process.
Questions, comments? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you very much. I have a question.
Sure.
So now we're going to pay the employee for the tuition. How do we know they're going to school? How do we know the money goes to that institution?
So first and foremost, we're gonna have the student sign an agreement or a contract, if you will, and their request, the application that requests the classes that they want paid and the dates and what have you. But once we issue them the payment, they would have to return a receipt once they have paid the school. And then when they're done with the course, they would have to submit their grades in order to continue to move forward.
And if they don't do that, they have to pay the money back?
Yes, there will be a balance showing that they owe Oakland County until they provide a receipt. So Cheryl's gonna explain that portion. Thank you.
No problem. Hi, Cheryl Johnson, Deputy CFO. So we're gonna treat it like a cash advance. So that until those records are issued back to the county, it will show as an outstanding cash advance to the student. And if that doesn't get taken care of that semester, then we'll put processes in place to collect the money back.
Through their pay?
Yes. I think through their pay. Usually we don't just take money out of their pay, we do have to work with the employee and get a signed affidavit allowing us to take those funds back. We don't just take them back.
Still wouldn't be easier just to pay the institution, they go to class, they
Well-
know they went there, and you pay them for the service?
As Melva stated, if we've got 20 students at Oakland University, it's very difficult for Oakland University to make sure that they're issuing the payment to the right student, and we have to track because there is a cap per student, so we have to track by employee. So using our expense process, it's the same process that we use for travel. So if someone wants a cash advance for travel, they get the cash advance, then they submit the receipts, and then the cash advance gets cleared. So it's the same process that we use for that.
So I see 4 people, Commissioner Nelson, then Commissioner Juliet, and Commissioner Woodward. I'm gonna go next, just for all of you. If you're feeling like you have got deja vu, it's because we did literally just do this a few months ago. And the original version of this was to pay the student first. And then we had a thorough discussion where we changed it to this method where we pay the school. And then this is to undo what we had done. So I struggled with it because I don't know, well, same reasons that most of you are too, but Commissioner Nelson.
So I appreciate Mr. Sherry saying that. I'm struggling with it a little bit as well. My question is this a standard practice from moving away from having the employer versus the employee be the one to now pay?
I don't know about standard practice. I can tell you from my own experience, any time that I got a reimbursement for a class, I had to pay for the class, take the class, pass the class, and then submit the records and get the money back. That's how it has always worked for me. I realize it's been a very long time since I was in school. But the other issue that we run into is this is a process, we're using the Workday process for cash advances for expenditures, which the employees are already in the system. If we have employees going to 10 different schools, then I need each of those schools to register as a vendor with Oakland County. And the benefit to them is not the same as it is with the supplier. Like they'll get their money whether it's the student or the county paying, so we're asking them to go through this very laborious process that we do. And the other piece is then it would show on our records as us paying the school, and we could potentially have to 1099 the school because we paid them those dollars. So this just kind of clarifies the whole process. We know what employees it's going to. It stays with the employee records of their education and what was provided by the county.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I will say at this time, I'm gonna be a no vote, only because I would like to go back and watch that October 10th meeting where we did have some pretty fruitful and lengthy discussions from what I can recall. So I would like to just go back between now and the board meeting to just go back and review some of the conversations, because I know it was a bigger issue last October, and I just want to go back, do some due diligence, and just move forward at the board meeting.
Commissioner Juliet.
I appreciate not want the ordeal that would go through for the vendors to, or the schools to have to register as a vendor. My concern is that there is no recourse with the employee if they were to leave to get the money back, because as you said, that there'd have to be an affidavit signed for actually wages to be garnished. So if a affidavit could be incorporated into the contract that they have to sign acknowledging that the money has to be paid back, and we do have the ability to garnish wages should they not pay it back.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that.
I would defer that to Corp Counsel.
Okay.
Because we do have affidavits that people sign for things, and Corp Counsel opinion that we have is that before every paycheck, if we take money out of someone's check that they owe the county, I have to have a wet signature from them. So I would defer that piece. I would agree with it, but I would defer that policy writing to Corp Counsel to make sure that it's not in my wheelhouse.
Okay. Well, I'm not comfortable voting yes as it's written now, but if that could be done, I can support it.
So we do have a draft application that does state in there that in the event that they leave the county, then their wages would be, their balance would be taken out of their wages. So they ahead of time know before going in that that could potentially happen.
So then they wouldn't need an affidavit.
Correct, because that would be their wet signature.
But it's if they leave the county, so we really have nothing to garnish.
Yeah, so.
Commissioner Woodward.
I think it's healthy to think about worst case scenarios, but we are also talking about our employees that are enriching their education so they can do their job better. And so I think from a practice point of view, taking the burden away from being able to help put some of the money up front so that they don't have to dig into their pocket, particularly our lower earners in county employment. It makes it easier for them to afford those expenses and then having to expend it and then turn around and get reimbursed for it. It makes perfect sense that us doing it this way versus, I mean, some of you will remember like when we were giving grants to small businesses, we had to make every one of those businesses a vendor for that time being. And so it's a very cumbersome project, and I don't think we have any interest of making all the universities across America part of a vendor of Oakland County, especially if it's one person maybe going to a class there. So I'm very comfortable with this. I think whatever mechanism between now and the board that we need to work with to say that when they're doing the application that if there's the affidavit or the permission, if you will, to claw back those dollars. But I'm not generally worried about our county employees kind of trying to cheat Oakland County out. Like this is a generous benefit to enrich them so that they can do their jobs better for us. And so I defer on the better side of people. And if someone does try to skirt the law and all that type of stuff, I mean, there are multiple ways to get our money back. But I don't think it's really that big of a deal.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor.
Okay, thank you. I worked with HR deeply, and I understand each and every question. I disagree with saying that every college, because out of all the employees that we have right now, the reimbursement is only being used by 111 schools. If we have 10 employees going to one school, you have one vendor, one 1099 if you have to do that. I'm very familiar with Workday, and you can set that up any way you want. You can actually have by employee ID, the name put on the check for the school to do that. So when I see something like this, it is doable, but I also understand from a benefit point, helping the employee by giving them money in advance. And I know that Workday has that expense where it's just like if I went and traveled and you paid for my airfare, when I return in my receipts, it gets taken back. I get all of that. What I don't understand is, I mean, I know it's cumbersome, so what you're saying, what I'm hearing is that this is what you would prefer. It's not that you can't do the others, just more work or something to get it that way. So in order for us to also help the people that's actually processing all the paperwork as well as helping the employees, this would be the better way to do it, is what I'm hearing.
I think that's appropriate. Now, I was not involved in all those conversations. I was involved in the original conversations, had my own concerns. Now, what I don't know, and I would have to go back to my staff and find out, there are a lot of things that are possible in Workday, but it could require additional programming in our Workday process where we would have to reach out to a consultant and have that done. Just on the face, from what I understand, I feel like this would be a more efficient way to track it, because then we wouldn't have to have side spreadsheets and things like that where people are taking account to who's going where and things like that. Because then as we start to do, we send a big check to the university and it's got 4 or 5 student IDs on it, we have to really hope that the person that's opening checks at the university understands what those student IDs are, and we have the same student ID that they have, and so that's why I think big picture, it would be more efficient to issue the funds to the student. And then part of it is on the student to, make sure that they're doing what they need to do to get the most out of the class.
And I can support that. I don't have a problem either way. I just wanted to.
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, and I would agree if we could just have them sign, when they sign up for the advancement, we could have them say, if you don't pass the class or whatever, and put all that language in there. And that's for Melva, actually.
Yes.
And I'm sure that, because that's usually standard.
Yes.
To have them sign at that time so we don't have an issue in case, because life happens. I hear the term all the time, life is life type of a thing. My question is on the colleges, do we require them to be accredited? Because that was one of the things that I always said it has to be an accredited college or else we didn't pay for it at all.
We do require an accredited.
And is that also stated in there so the employee knows that and they're not going to College of Taylor and I am getting $5,000, that type of thing? Okay, thank you.
I would be College of Taylor.
So I am in favor of this with that, knowing that that language is in there for, in case things happen and the employee has to drop and all that kind of stuff. So I will be supporting this based on that, and thank you for the further explanation.
Commissioner Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Woodward kind of anticipated some of my questions, which was, the reason we switched from a reimbursement afterwards to an upfront advancement of this money was as an employee, an additional employee benefit to make it easier for people to obtain education. They don't have to advance thousands of dollars of their own money upfront and then wait for reimbursement. The other thing I was going to ask is, have we had a similar experience in the HR context of advancing money to employees for things like this, and or is this a unique circumstance?
This would be new to the county.
So
if I may
in
quickly.
the HR world,
Yeah.
we do use this system for travel advances and things like that, but it, according to Melva, it would be new in the HR world, but we do use it. Oh, okay, so the process isn't new in terms of at the county, because if someone is traveling, if you're traveling to a conference and the conference gets paid for, and perhaps you don't have the money to do, to do the meals or anything like that, you can request a cash advance, and then you'll get a check in advance of going to the conference so that you can cash that check. You'll have the cash on hand to use during the conference, and then you bring your receipts back and reconcile all of that once you return.
And so my follow-up question is then, what experience have we had with employees not following through and providing the receipts to back up such that we might have to go to recoup the money?
I'm not prepared to answer that, but I would say, I think it would escalate to me, and I haven't heard a lot of it, so
So it's not a serious problem having employees getting an advance.
Not that's been
and not
escalated to
following.
me. I mean, I have to be fair and say I don't know the answer to that question, I can find out. But that stuff normally escalates to me, and then we get corp counsel involved to try and recoup our dollars.
I'm a little concerned that we're focusing on, as Chair Woodward put it, the worst case scenario and assuming fraudulent intent in our employees as opposed to focusing on the fact that we're trying to offer an employee benefit. And being prepared to do what we need to do in those albeit incredibly rare circumstances. And I will, for that reason, I'll be supporting this.
You're an effective attorney, Commissioner. Persuaded me very well right there.
There are ways to go and recoup money. Yeah, it can be a pain in the butt, but in those rare circumstances, we have tools to go and get our money back.
Commissioner Hoffman, sorry, there's a long line.
I'm good.
You're good? Commissioner Joliet?
Okay. To Commissioner Taylor's point and to Commissioner Erickson Galt's point too, I mean, in all contracts, you hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So I guess I'd be able to support this if there could be an amendment, just saying that it's added at the time of contract. So it's full disclosure, this is how things go down. So in the event, the very small event that this happens, there doesn't have to be other methods and other expenditures to go collect. It's just taken care of up front.
Commissioner Taylor.
I just wanted to add that this becomes a hiring tool. It's an attraction for us to hire those more qualified people that the county wants and have working for them. Plus, it helps the people that's already here that want to expand or grow within the county. This helps them to do that in a non-invasive way. So it is a benefit. We just want to cover ourselves in all areas. So I am still in full support of this.
So if I may add, Sunil Siege, HR Director, I just want to experience in HR, this is not new, it is new to the county, but that's how I got my master's degree, is my previous company, Kraft Foods, they actually reimbursed me ahead of time. I made sure that I got the grades that needed, I provided the receipt, and that's how I got my master's. There's no way I could have went to the school without that support, and that's got me here today. So again, I understand everybody's concerns, and the little bit that could happen are covered, but I want to assure that that's how I got here. So there are great examples where the schools paid ahead. And to add, we are getting a lot of questions from employees. What's going on? We would like to understand. How can we get it? So this is all about, and I've said it, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it again, we're employer of choice, right? And I'm really trying to fight that. Kraft Foods was #1 in the food industry. I want Oakland County to be #1 too. And this is a great example of how we're trying to support our employees. So that's really my goal of it. But I am a true example of there's no way, based on my dad's salary, that I could have paid for my master's degree without Kraft Foods. So just want to highlight that for sure and foremost. That's why we're doing this for our folks.
Appreciate that. Anything else?
Can I make an amendment to add that?
To add what specifically?
To add that there is an affidavit signed by the employee that should they be in breach of contract, that wages can be garnished.
You can motion. Does anyone oppose that idea? Is that?
I support a motion.
You support that motion. Do we know what that looks like? Is that okay with everyone?
Can I just say one thing? Like, if we use the word garnish, then we have to go through the process of garnishing. I think there's another term, and I don't know what that term would be, but we could say that we could take it from the employee's paycheck. There are IRS rules that allow us, like, what we can take from, and we have to leave them at least enough for minimum wage and things like that, so there are those things in place. But if we use the term garnishment, then that could be construed as we have to go through the process of going to court and actually garnishing someone's wages.
So whatever the correct verbiage would be.
Riddle me this, Commissioner Nelson, are you still a no?
I am. I would like to go back and watch the October 10th, 2024 meeting.
Fair enough. So it's gonna pop onto the regular agenda at our next board meeting anyway. Do you wanna work on
So we're not voting
language?
on it now?
No, I would like to vote it now, but it would pass, but it would not be on the consent agenda. So do you wanna work on an amendment between now and then per your language?
Well, for
or-
me to support this, I need the amendment.
Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
Yeah, I think the right course of action, it's in this application, working with Corp Counsel, in between now and our next board meeting, I think that can get resolved. So I don't know if it's an amendment to the resolution per se, it's whatever the document of the application that ensures it has the language for the clawback on that event. So
I see what you mean.
I'm gonna oppose the amendment. I think work with Corp Counsel before we vote on it next week. I think that whatever that language has to be, and to make sure that it's congruent with IRS and other legal requirements, I think we can accomplish it. I don't think anyone disagrees with it.
Commissioner Erickson Gall.
I have a suggestion. For perhaps the amendment, instead of demanding specific language, would instead ask that it be referred to Corporation Counsel to craft a mechanism for seeking this reimbursement, or seeking this tool for collecting the money at the time they apply, and have them craft the language that would be useful for.
I like that. I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
Before the next meeting.
Yeah, but when it goes to the
Just,
board.
basically, we were just saying, Corp Counsel, please see if you can come up with a tool that would allow us to ask the employee to agree up front for a mechanism for recouping the money.
Sure.
Just put it in the lawyer's hands.
Yeah, sounds like we have to anyway, so.
Any other discussion on that one? So
You understand what the
that is a motion. I can't say it. Do you want to?
Refer to counsel for
Recovering delinquent cost or delinquent payment.
Council to consider language to craft a mechanism.
So are you is an amendment to the resolution or amendment or like a motion of this body to Corp Counsel to get that for?
It could be a separate motion.
Yeah, I think you have an amendment that's actually on the table unless you withdraw it.
I think the intent was to try to put it in better wording. So,
Can I amend my amendment?
Sure.
You can do whatever you want to.
I'm never.
What are you amending though?
I want this contract that we're approving to include
The mechanism.
a mechanism for default.
Right,
But we're not approving.
but pardon me,
But we're not.
we're not approving.
So the resolution's about an amendment to the merit rule system.
Correct.
Right.
So it's not a contract. There's an application that's for getting the
So I guess I'd like that included in the application.
application
Yes.
process. You got it, so I think you can accomplish that in like two pieces, like there's the merit rule thing and also the request to Corp Council to ensure that the application, is the application part of the resolution? Sorry, I moved on to the next item.
No, it's just a merit rule.
I don't think so.
Actually, I don't.
I don't think it was, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, just a rule.
Just the merit rules,
Sorry.
two separate things.
Oh.
I turned down to the lawyer down there. Maybe it is if you want an amendment and ask the department to HR to work with Corp Council to develop an application process that allows for, I guess, I don't like the punitive side of it. I think into it is like, I don't wanna be hunted like, hey, we think you're gonna screw us over, therefore we're going to like ink it out in red in the resolution. So, I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking.
So this is a tuition amendment. And according to the verbiage on what we're voting on.
Yes. Okay, y'all, I'm a little bit lost right now. So there is a motion on the table to
Add
add,
this request to the tuition advancement merit roll application.
okay. Do you know what
the application,
it means?
I can only fit so much on my.
Okay.
We can work out the specifics
Okay.
later, but right now it's
The
gonna say amend the merit
the
rule.
application's not part of the
application
resolution, I guess that's
language.
the issue.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
In case of breach of contract.
This is, so the motion on the table is a approval of the rule change.
Does
The merit
rule
rule
even
change.
refer to the application
No.
process? Yeah, that's a problem.
Tuition application. Tuition reimbursement.
Well, we can just, okay, I can remove my amendment if this is making it too complicated and have Corp Council work on it before the board meeting. But I can't support it here, but if it gets done at the board, then I will.
That's fine. I think that's fine.
I can do that
That's
for
good.
expediency, that's fine.
So you'll withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my support.
And none of us will forget that this whole thing happened, so. So
Yeah,
could you
recommend the
just,
board.
right.
So we're back to
Yeah,
just the
prompt
original
that
resolution.
whenever you
Okay.
want.
We have 5 yeas and 3 nays.
Well, that was the correct math that I was aiming for, so that passes, but it will be on the regular agenda at the board meeting. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to you three.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would now entertain a motion to approve item 9B, which is an extension of merit system eligibility list of Commissioner
So moved.
Hoffman moves, Commissioner Taylor supports. Any discussion? Anyone from HR wanna talk about this? You don't have to,
Pretty
but
simple.
We have to,
I mean, if you want to,
Oh.
it's pretty cut and dry.
right, it is.
Yeah.
I'll just go over real quick. It's
Well, good morning. My name is Ariane Fountain, the Supervisor of Human Resources, specifically in the recruitment unit. I am here on behalf of the Sheriff's Office to make a recommendation, actually to extend both the D1 and D2 list, which is the Deputy 1 and Deputy 2 eligibility list. The eligibility list consists of a group of applicants that have been applied to fill those positions. And pursuant to Mayor Rule 5, the eligibility lists are valid for 6 months. Right now, the D1 list expires on April 8th, and the D2 list expires on March 17th. So we're requesting to have both lists extended so we can continue our hiring process.
Questions, Commissioner?
Quick question, how many times have we extended this for
You know what, I
W22?
haven't been here since last fall, I believe, yeah.
So have we extended it though?
We haven't extended it since then, no.
Gotcha. And then what are the biggest barriers to?
Well, you know, it's
W22s?
timeliness. So on average, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to for the approval process, the interview process to be completed. That includes interviews, that includes approvals, as well as background checks with the investigators. So it's a lengthy process, making sure everyone is clear and on board with the
That's been spoken in the past,
Yes,
right? When we talk
yes.
about these positions. Is there anything that we can do as far as like systematic efficiency? Or is it just the time frame of hiring, which I appreciate, these are important positions. But is there anything that has been, that we could take a look at from our end, from an efficiency perspective?
You know what, I would defer that to the Sheriff's Office because the investigators, it takes about 2 weeks for them to come back with a background check. So it's really timeliness within the Sheriff's Office as far as approvals and background checks.
And I get that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course. Anything else? Nope, all right, motion on the table is to approve. And whatever you're ready.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Sweet, thank you very much, that passes. All right, moving on to a whole new section, Parks and Recreation. You've got a few things for us to do too. Thanks everyone for your patience today. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, item 10A, grant acceptance FY25 Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Network. I moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Loops. All right, I'll get you all on the next one.
Good morning, I'm Melissa Prowse, Manager of Planning and Development for Parks and Recreation.
Sarah Cliff-Malin, Chief of Natural Resources.
I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one.
Yep, so this is a request for a small grant, $25,000 to improve wetland habitat at Groveland Oaks County Park from the Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Program. I can tell you more about the grant if you want, but it's pretty straightforward.
And this is one too where I just wanna thank our team for, this was a situation where Saginaw Bay Wind has been a grantor of ours in the past. They had some funding that they needed to get out the door very quickly at the end of the year. They called us up and said, hey, can you submit a proposal within a week? We wanna give you some money. And we always wanna be that first call that they make when they're trying to get rid of that extra money. So we were able to turn that around very quickly and get this funding for a project we wanted to do for a bit at Groveland, so.
And we'll be contributing additional Parks and Recreation budgeted operational dollars to the project as well. So it'll be a mix of grant funding and money that we had already budgeted as well.
Questions, comments, concerns? All right, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk?
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome. Moving on then to the next one, it's grant acceptance FY25 Sustain Our Great Lakes Grant, moved by Commissioner Erickson Gall, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. There we go.
Great, another grant on the table. So this is from Sustain Our Great Lakes. It's for $300,000 to improve watershed connectivity along the Rouge River at Beechwoods Park in Southfield. So this is one of the partnership parks that Oakland County Parks is redeveloping with the city of Southfield. So we're doing a large-scale restoration of the former golf course, but also reconnecting the Rouge to its former watershed floodplain. So this money will allow us to accelerate that project and to really get more tree planting, more plants, really build out the watershed reconnection plan.
Thank you.
Questions, comments, concerns? I have a question. This is federal money. Is the cash, where's the cash?
Yeah, so Sustain Our Great Lakes, to my understanding, and others in the room might have other understandings, but that program has been somewhat untouched as of this point, yes. Sustain Our Great Lakes is part of the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, and so that is from my understanding, safer money at this point, that it's longstanding money that has been appropriated, so is less influenced by some of the political changes that are occurring.
Inshallah.
Yeah, of the grants that we've applied for this year, that's a great question, but only I think one of our grants has been impacted so far that was directly from other grant funding, but all the rest of the grant money that we've applied for is still coming through.
Okay, all right. If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
I mean, I don't wanna say that, but yeah.
We're gonna try to move quickly on this.
Right.
So far, no bad news.
Any other things? No? Cool. Motion on the table is to refer to finance and recommend, Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready. Sweet, thank you. And last but not least, I'd entertain a motion to recommend to the board item grant acceptance FY 21. It's a bit of a throwback, National Fish Passage Program grant, moved by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Commissioner Loops. All right, what's going on here?
Yep, so this one is a little bit of a housekeeping cleanup issue. This is a grant for that Mill Pond Dam removal and restoration project out in Davisburg, which I think the commissioners know is a completed, or almost completed project, and all the grants have been closed out. This is one where shortly after we got this grant, they amended it by adding a little extra money to it and extending the timeline because the project took a little longer than we thought, and we just did not bring the amendment through for full board approval accidentally, so that's our fault for doing that, but we're doing some cleanup and we found this and we wanted to get it in front of you for official approval, just to close it out.
Cool. Any questions, comments? All right, well, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk.
7809.
Sweet, that has been. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public comment now. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on anything at all? Anything going once, twice? All right, seeing none. That's that. Any other business today? Everyone go enjoy the outdoors. I'm gonna adjourn. It's 10:58.